Hello and welcome to Grind Slime TV with me, your host Aaron. And today we're kicking it with the Swiss. We're going old school. We're going Celtic Frost, Morbid Tales. Oh, mama, absolute banger. And what I love about this edition is that it also comes with the extra songs from Emperor's Return EP. So you've got the best of 84 and 85 all in one package. So you've got 12 songs on here, which is absolutely wonderful. And check out the photos on the back. Look at that. Oh, just exudes heterosexuality. If those pictures don't say they kiss girls, I don't know what does. Oof. So, got a load of stuff there in the booklet. You've got your lyrics and stuff. You've got the wicked artwork there from Vincent Lauvert. Oh, mate, look at that. Absolutely banging artwork. As you can see, it's over there and all. Look, my thumb's on their booby. Like live photos. Once again. Oh, straighter than an arrow, as you can tell. Ooh, I'll suck your cock. And we've got fucking all the liner notes. Well, not really liner notes. This is more. Oh, it kind of is. Yeah. But, you know, mainly the cheers and thank yous and fuck yous. So, got all that going on. We've got the wicked little artwork here as well on the disc. I love all that. I love those sort of weird symbols that these bands like using. Oh, and on the back of it, it's got the also available, but you really don't need to buy any of those. And I know what you're thinking. Well, it's a Megatherion, surely, Aaron. Not for me, I'm afraid. That's why this is the perfect release. Well, for me anyway, because you know, I just love these first two EPs. But to Megatherion, I'll be totally honest, it's got cool parts on it, and I can totally see why it's people's favourite album. You know, it's very important. It's a masterpiece. It's an absolute classic. It moulded extreme metal into what it is today. I just don't enjoy it. I listen to it, and I'm just like, yeah, like I say, got some cool bits, but oh no, just not for me. You know, and oh, that recording of Circle of Tyrants, just oh, it's so slow, and it's got those weird falsetto things on there, and it's like, Tommy boy, call the Exorcist. I think your recording's on it. It's just nah, it's not for me. I mean, who knows? Maybe in 10 years' time, I'll listen to it again, and it'll be my favourite album. You know, you never know what time can do for you. But as far as Morbid Tales goes, and let's say Dethroned Emperor, then Emperor's Return, it's practically unbeatable. I mean, that is because I'm a huge fan of EPs anyway. Like, as I'm sure followers of the channel will know, you know, I love my demos, my EPs, and my stuff like that. But oh, these are just like the cream of the crop. It's just pure metal. You've got those really cool sort of discharge influences with like the countless sort of D beats going on, and just you know, but it's got that really sort of, they brought like the slowness into heavy metal, you know, because before it was a lot of it was more about the sort of the speed and who can be the fastest, and these guys were just like, let's bring it down a little bit and yeah, get them head banging riffs going, you know, and they were so many bands have tried replicating the sound, and some of them have done it really, really well. Don't get me wrong, you know, Obituary for one. I mean, that's pure fucking Celtic Frost worship, and that just sounds wicked, you know. And Dark Throne as well, you know. You listen to Blazing the Northern Sky, it's just loaded with Dark Throne style riffs. Napalm Death, same situation, you know. Tons of bands, and it's just, and every time you hear that sort of sound, like you just automatically like, yeah, these are Celtic Frost boys. These are fans, and who can blame them? I mean, they brought in the whole sort of. I mean, look at that. I mean, if that ain't corpse paint, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? And you got that whole sort of like, they had the bullet belts, they had the spikes, they had the chains, the leather. And it's not like no one was doing that before. I mean, I'm pretty sure Judas Priest pretty much started that sort of thing. You know, they wore that sort of like sex shop bondage. It was quite funny because when you look back at it, it's like people looked at it and was like, oh yeah, that's manly and tough, yeah, yeah. And it's like, well, you know, Rob Halford goes to gay bars and sees loads of stuff like that. And at the time, everyone was like, oh, you know, we don't like the gays. And it's like, well, you're dressing like them. So there's always a little beautiful irony there. I love all that. And Rob Halford was the goddamn man. I mean, the metal god, what can you do? But Tom G. Warrior and his ilk, Stephen Priestley and Martin Eric Ain, is that how you say that? Yeah. You thought I knew all their names, didn't you? No, I was reading off the back. I'm terrible with names, as I'm sure most of you on this channel will know. But this is loaded with great tracks. I mean, just throw a dart. I mean, my favourite is Procreation of the Wicked. I think that's an absolutely belting tune, heavy as balls. And I love the Mortician cover of it as well. It was really nice. Oh. But they're all great, you know. The Circle of the Tyrants, Into the Crypts of Rays, Visions of Mortality. I mean, The Throned Emperor, all of them. There's not a bad song on it. I mean, I could live without the human intro and Dance Macabre. It's like, well, you know, when it's on in the background, I don't really mind because it's like part of the atmos. Do you know what I mean? But it's like when I listen to Celtic Frost, I'm in there like, yeah, let's headbang, let's do it, and then it just sort of stops, and it's just sort of like, oh, okay, we'll wait for this then. So I always tend to skip those when I've got them on the headphones. I just want some fucking metal. Now, the interesting thing about Celtic Frost is that I was introduced to this band before I even knew who they were. What does that mean? Well, in the 90s, sort of mid to late 90s, I became obsessed with manga home videos. I'm sure a lot of you will know about them. You know, your Fists of the North Stars, your Ninja Scrolls, your Street Fighter 2, you know, the Guyver, all that sort of stuff. You know, I was bang on it, mate. Plat Label 1 and 2. Try and stop me. But on the European version of these videos, and yes, England is still in Europe. It's just the Union we left before anyone says anything fucking stupid. But yeah, on the European version of the home videos, the opening intro had the main opening riffs from the song "The Heart Beneath" from their Vanity album, which is god awful. Oh, it's bad. But at the time, that riff is fantastic. I mean, it still is. It's like a really cool old school Celtic Frost kind of styled riff. And it would just open all the videos, and I was constantly like, oh man, I love this bit of music. Every time I put it on, I was just sitting down there, fucking, even I was like 9 or 10, just doing this, nodding along, and my dad would be sitting there looking at me going, oh god, he's a metalhead. Just like his brother. And so yeah, and years later I found out, oh, it's Celtic Frost. And then I listened to the rest of the song and was like, oof, should have just ended it where that riff ended. But then I actually found out about Celtic Frost a few years later, sort of maybe 2002, 2003. I went to like one of the local shows, and they had like the local bands on, you know, nice mixed bill. But one of the bands was a Celtic Frost cover band, and I think they were called Cryptic Frost. And I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool and all this lot, you know, really liked it. And they were like, oh well, all of our songs are covers by Celtic Frost. So I was like, oh well, cool, yeah. And yeah, I sort of and I think I sort of like said, oh yeah, look out for that, and sort of forgot about it. And then some years back, I was like, I'm going to revisit these guys. All my favourite bands talk about them, and I was just like, yeah, you can totally see why they're fantastic. It's just this stuff is just pure gear. You cannot go wrong with it. I mean, the drumming, the guitar parts. I mean, even the solos are cool. And I'm not a huge solo guy. A lot of the time, I hear a guitar solo, and I think, oh, well, that's just there for the sake of it. But these ones actually seem like they've been thought out. They're really cool. And Tom's vocals are great. That sort of gruff and just not giving a shit. Like all the other bands of that time were very much sort of, oh, we've got the range. You can hit all the notes and the octaves, and you know, power metal's becoming a thing. And I was like, yeah, cool. But then these guys are just like, fuck it, we can't sing, but who gives a shit? Let's just do it. You know, same sort of attitude as like Lemmy. You know, so if you're new to the game, you've heard of Celtic Frost, or you haven't heard of them, and you're yet to check them out, Morbid Tales from the get-go, make it happen. And also check out Hellhammer. And funny thing about Hellhammer is that I quite liked them when I first heard. I still very much like them. I think they're great. But when I first heard them and were listening to them, I didn't even realise it was like one of the main guys from Celtic Frost. It wasn't until like a few years later I was like, oh, that makes sense. So, you know, it wasn't as easy back then. We didn't have internet to fucking throw around and look things up. But boom, there it is. Make it happen. Absolute classic of classics. If you don't like it, that's cool. At least you can say you checked it out and you did your due diligence. Because this band deserves it. Because if you're into extreme metal and you listen to a lot of the modern bands and stuff, it doesn't mean you have to like these, but just know that a big chunk of their sound is because of this. So, you know, respect where it's, you know, due and all that. So, boom, Celtic Frost, make it happen. Absolute classic. So stay tuned, because up next I've got part 8 of 10 of my top 50 albums. And I'll catch you then. Support the underground and don't piss in the wind.